Hey guys, midweek energy update. Let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about today. We are in, of course, a week that is characterized by a once in 2 year alignment between Mars and Uranus that is playing out in Taurus. We've been talking all about it. That was the theme of my last video. It's still relevant this video, although honestly, energy levels are peaking even more as we move through the week this week. We have a Sagittarius moon Wednesday and Thursday. Sag is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter expands things with the moon there. This is big feelings, big emotions, maybe some revelations and gaining some insight or some understanding, secrets revealed somehow, but it is probably bringing energy levels up even higher. The moon in Sag is also going to be opposing Jupiter, which is another expansive force going on out there. So we are in peak energy right now, and we also are building into a full moon that is going to be happening on the 21st of July, which is also an energetic high point each month. So energy is really climaxing right now. Super electrically charged energetic atmosphere out there. If you feel sort of like a chicken with your head cut off, if you feel like you just can't relax, can't rest, can't calm down, having a hard time sleeping, and just generally feel ungrounded and stuff, that is the nature of the energy as it's playing out right now, which is functioning to shake us out of any type of rut that we may have been in, to break up stagnancy, and to bring events or situations or interactions that are a force of change somehow in our lives. And we've got a lot to talk about. Very weird energy going on out there. Probably quite an eventful week we have playing out before us. So let's get into it, you guys. Let's look at all of the energy that we have going on, the story that it's telling, and what it might mean for us as we move through our week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. That's going to happen at the end. Let's start with the astrology. As I mentioned in my intro, energy levels are really sky high through the roof this week, and they're only going up through the full moon. Once we get to the full moon on the 21st, I feel like we will see the release and tension, and things will begin to simmer down a little bit. But as of now, it is just hyper charged out there, and it's only on the incline, okay? And the reason why I say that, number one, right, Mars and Uranus together, we talked all about this in the last video, and it is still a huge energetic feature of our week this week. And we've got a Sagittarius moon now, which is a very expansive vibrational force going on out there, brings some really big emotions. That can, of course, Sagittarius, a sign having to do with truth. It gives us an expanded viewpoint. It brings optimism and hope and faith as well. There is probably a relatively hopeful sentiment that is accompanying this expanded energy level, and it is giving, honestly, manic type of vibes, as was the energy for the Mars-Uranus conjunction. But this also, with the Sag moon coming in, we could see some really seriously hyper-inflated egos going on out there, people literally having kind of a god complex and feeling like they can do anything and actually acting on it. There could be some very over the top reckless risk type of behavior going on right now, because really it's possible that people just truly believe that they can fly. Okay, so that's one way that this energy could be represented. But there could also be this influx of truth or information or understanding, big ideas. This is also a very inventive energy, a very creative energy that we've got going on right now. We've got a grand fire trine playing out on Thursday exactly, with Mercury Chiron and the moon in Sagittarius. So we're going to talk about that as well. But it is big picture, future focused thinking that we have, giving the capacity and the emphasis for inventiveness, innovation, progress, and this brilliant creativity that's coming through. The moon in Sagittarius is really lighting up a lot of different dimensions of the way energy is playing out right now. Sagittarius, of course, is a fire sign, and it trines the sign of Aries, and it trines the sign of Leo, and we have Venus and Mercury in Leo right now, and we have the North Node, and we have Chiron in the sign of Aries right now. So on Wednesday, the moon in Sagittarius, as it opposes Jupiter, is also going to be trining the North Node in Aries. This is facilitating some type of divine situation, intervention, assistance, alignment to come into fruition in a way that sort of conducts and guides the unfolding of events somehow. There's some type of like divine or fated element of the way that things are playing out as we move through the energy on Wednesday, and especially in regards to like the informational component of things, because the moon in Sagittarius will be forming the opposition to Jupiter in the sign of Gemini as well. Freeing the mind, something we could really be finding out some very important truths right now that change the trajectory of things going forward, or change the decisions that we were like, or the choices or the decisions that we were thinking of making, or perhaps even bring in new options, new alternatives to introduce to like our current set of choices or decisions that maybe we've been deliberating about. But there could definitely be some type of, especially with Mars and Uranus together, Mars currently ruling the position of the North Node in Aries, some type of sudden awakening or an answer or some insight or some truth that like radically alters the trajectory of future events as a result of its disclosure somehow with the way that things are playing out this week. And especially, I mean, we're talking about Mars and Uranus coming together. Uranus is the great awakener, right? In the sign of Taurus. This could really have to do with the true value, worth of something. It could have to do with the nature of relationships and partnerships, agreements, legal situations. It could have to also do with like resources, assets, finances, things to do with like money in all of its forms, and like economies and financial institutions. That could also have to do with like big business and stuff like that. But it's also, this energy is also sort of offering that like any problems that could be presented as a result of maybe what's being disclosed or what's being revealed or what we're figuring out, or the bigger picture conclusions that we're coming to here, there are solutions that are likely to be available to us as well as a result of this very like brilliant creativity and the innovation and the inventiveness associated with the qualities of the energy coming through simultaneously as well. Like, this is energy because we're talking about, first of all, we have a Mars-Uranus conjunction going on. If you guys watched my last video, I talked about that for like an hour about all the different dimensions of that energy and the dimensions of that energy in the context of all the other energy playing out right now, and like the larger story sort of that is unfolding, and kind of like the purpose behind this activation at this point in time, in my humble perception. But Uranus is a planet that, in my experience and understanding, helps to facilitate a future to come to pass that maybe wouldn't otherwise if things weren't like aligned and arranged in a certain way. Like, it makes the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves in order so that some future destiny or destined path of action, evolution, whatever, can unfold according to like this proper trajectory. And then when we've got Mars there, this is the energizing aspect of things. This is the action oriented, behavior oriented, like active function of the energy. So we're talking about a process with Mars and Uranus together that like realigns and recalibrates the flow of energy in such a way as to help facilitate a future result that hasn't come to pass yet, but like needs to for some reason. So it gives sort of like this ability to kind of like tap into the future in a way that hasn't manifested in the present yet. It can be kind of like a prophetic energy, and Uranus and Aquarius have a tendency of being associated with the future for that specific reason. And then we're also now talking about the introduction of the Jupiterian and the Sagittarius energy with the moon there. That's also our intuition. This is a highly intuitive time right now. Spidey senses, you know, the sixth sense, all of that are really very tangible to us, to like as a mechanism to gather information about what's going on in like the invisible field around us that we may not be able to perceive with our eyes, but has a strong influence on how we're feeling, how people are acting and behaving, and generally as a result the way that things have a tendency of playing out. So we've got the Mars and Uranus energy, we've got the Jupiter Sagittarius energy, which is helping us to see the bigger picture. It brings truth, it brings wisdom, it broadens our perspective. I feel like this is dot connecting energy when we're talking about the future focus associated with the Mars Uranus energy, and we're talking about the big picture expanded visionary viewpoint of the Jupiter Moon Sagittarius opposition, big visionary ability, and also an ability or an aptitude to actually act on it with the kind of like high-strung, action-oriented nature. It's spontaneous, impulsive, but also like genius nature of the Mars-Uranus energy. This is highly skillful, intelligent, and creative as a vibration that's coming through. And if you need to solve problems or create solutions, this is a really, really good period of time to tap into that type of energy, because you'll probably be able to figure things out in either an easier or a quicker or just like a more creative way, more resourceful way also with the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus than, you know, we may have been able to under other energetic circumstances. This is probably, though, a very busy week, like one thing after another. You might feel like you're like a pinball in a pinball game, just like shooting from one issue thing happening here, there, everywhere. It is like a sporadic, all over the place type of energy as well. It is giving like spaz vibes, spastic, and again, like these more manic tendencies, especially on Wednesday as the moon is in Sagittarius and does come into an opposition with Jupiter. This can really inflate the ego and overinflate our sort of like idea of what we're capable of. And with the Mars-Uranus energy, this is just like very high levels of energy. So we can get a lot done. Use the energy for that. Don't burn yourself out. But I do want to say, although this energy, it's very visionary, it's very big picture, it's very prophetic, it's very inventive, it is not good at all for any type of like detail oriented work. This is a very like clumsy energy where small specific details like fine print, stuff like that just gets totally disregarded and we can't even see it, and it's like it doesn't even matter and it's not even there. It is a distracted energy as well, and it's just not very good at like focusing on all the little intricacies and things. It rushes through things. It isn't organized. It gets a lot done, but it can definitely be sort of like sloppy or disordered in the presentation of it all, okay? It's like, it really is like the crazy mad scientist vibes. The Jupiter moon situation going on with the Mars Uranus situation. It's the mad scientist archetype, like totally brilliant on one hand, but so focused on, you know, the pursuit of the possibilities and the potentials and what could be coming next and what to create, the next project or the next invention, that there's no consideration of like the dishes haven't been washed in 2 weeks and the laundry hasn't been folded and I haven't showered, you know, just like the small kind of like mundane, or maybe not small, but like the practical mundane elements of, you know, daily life in the 3D reality. There can be a lack of importance, a lack of consideration, an element of like negligence in that regard as well, in favor of these like big ideas and the possibilities and how to achieve them, what needs to be done in order to make it happen, driven to bring ideas into fruition, but also sort of just like leaving a trail behind it. Sort of, it reminds me like, in my neighborhood, there's these two guys and they live together and like they're clearly brothers and their like whole families live there too. They've got like this big piece of property, like this like little compound thing. And what they do is they build hot tubs and swimming pools. And you can tell these guys are just like brilliant. Like they're some type of inventors. Like every time we drive by there, we're like, oh, it's the mad scientist. Like they're always out there working on something, like tools, just in the early morning, in the late evening, they'll be out there all day. And, you know, they're clearly like very, very smart, and they clearly know exactly what they're doing, and they're clearly really good at what they do, but their property is just like mass chaos. Like it's just a never ending like mess basically. And like, you know, they're clearly like, they're very like personally unkept, and it's just like I see these vibes all over, just being like so consumed in like the vision and the creative potential and like the energy to put behind bringing that creative potential like into physical form, that there's like just a total disregard for, you know, like the mundane practical like elements of stuff, like cleaning up after the big thing that you just, the invention that you just created, you know what I mean? And when I was looking at this energy, I was totally thinking of those two guys, because I'm like, wow, they fit the archetype of this Mars, Uranus, Moon, Jupiter energy so much. So if you know anybody like that, or if you've seen like energy play out like that anywhere, like that's the type of vibe that I'm talking about, okay? But it could also be Sagittarius, Jupiter, the nature of things generally right now, big news that suddenly changes things somehow. We do have Mercury at 22 degrees of Leo on Wednesday. That Sabian symbol is a carrier pigeon fulfilling its mission. So there could be something about the transference of information, big news, something coming clear, gaining a greater understanding, like some additional context coming in somehow. Again, that also has the impact of like opening things up for us somehow, maybe creating alternative options or choices that we didn't know we had, bringing in new opportunities. Definitely an element of how all of this is coming together for us right now in the context of that Mars Uranus energy. It's likely to be unexpected though, and there could be like a shock factor to whatever the information is coming. And again, the North Node is also implicated. The North Node is currently in a sextile, a supporting aspect with Jupiter, and the North Node will be in a trine with the Moon in Sagittarius when the Moon opposes Jupiter. So it could be, you know, these sudden revelations or the shocking information or news or figuring things out in a really unexpected way that changes the course or the trajectory that things were going somehow, because that would be the Uranian energy, an active force of change. Something coming in that creates a situation where like things have to go around, like we can no longer continue on the same path, like there has to be some type of alteration in the forward course, because Uranus makes the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves in order to facilitate a future potential that needs to come to pass. So there's divine intervention wrapped up in all of this. And like I was talking about in my Mars Uranus video for the other day, a lot of times Mars Uranus can also be a very volatile energy. There can be a level of destruction or like violence or aggression or hostility, war type of stuff coming out of nowhere, explosiveness associated with all of this. But I'm telling you, like, for whatever reason, if any of that does come through this energy, it is necessary in order to create actually some better result going forward, or to open things up in such a way so that they can improve somehow. This is not actually the end, even if it seems that way, even if it feels like the world is falling apart. If that is happening, it is literally so like fresh growth can come and things can restabilize or rebalance in a way that is going to be better moving forward. Now, it may take a little bit of time till we can actually see that things are going to be better moving forward as a result of whatever happens or has happened or is in the process of happening. But when we've got Uranus operating, that is always the end result. It's a blessing in disguise. It's a silver lining, and it is to facilitate a path to some necessary course of evolution somehow in alignment with like the path of our soul, literally, when it's applying to us like on a personal level. And it's also all about liberation right now. Freedom, liberation, freeing the mind, awakening from some type of spell or some type of slumber, like expanding our mind, expanding our skill sets as well. All of this is very, very wrapped up in what this energy is supporting and pushing us towards right now. Jupiter actually happens to be at 12 degrees of Gemini while the Moon comes into opposition, and we've got the Mars Uranus, and that Sabian symbol is a slave girl demands her rights of her mistress. And we're talking about Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, which is all about the mind. And so there could definitely be some element of how this plays out that frees the mind somehow to think differently or to perceive or see or open to different opportunities, or again, this like options, choices, decisions thing, or the perspective shifts, the mental shifts, the ways that we're changing our mental frames about stuff, altering the course of future events in a way that is actually necessary to get us to a better point going forward. So, you know, sudden revelations, changing future trajectories, that's all over the energy for this week. And it could also be very financial or business related with the Taurus themes coming in as well, partnerships, legal situations also. Talking about Thursday, moving into the energy of Thursday now, the moon will continue to move through the sign of Sagittarius, which will bring it into a square with Saturn in the sign of Pisces. This could be bringing in issues with control, limitation, rules, authority, and also Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces. The breakdown of rules and authority, or just no authority at all, that could be causing some type of conflict or issue. Truth versus illusion when we're talking about Sagittarius and Pisces, fact versus fiction, fantasy versus reality, and what we're willing to believe, and therefore the rules that we are willing to follow going forward. This again, it's like calling into consideration what we're learning, what we're figuring out, what we're coming to understand, how that is altering our belief system, and how as a consequence of that, the rules that we're willing to follow and fall in line with are coming up for, you know, maybe some type of alterations going on right now as well, especially with the Jupiter degree 12 Gemini, the slave girl demanding the rights of her mistress. So there could be a lot of Mars and Uranus. I mean, we're talking about, that's also a very revolutionary, rebellious energy, non-compliance, unexpected actions and results as a result of people just not bending the knee, you know, not following the rules anymore. And this whole like breakdown and control system thing coming up. Saturn retrograding in the sign of Pisces, that can bring up issues in regards to the dissolving of the forms and the foundations and the structures and also belief systems that represented or enabled those control systems or the illusions of control, which we are coming to find many of them have always been. And this could also be bringing up issues with things that haven't been done. Pisces is a sign that can have to do with neglect, abandonment, and avoidance, escaping things. So Saturn retrograde, people could be hiding from, trying to escape from their duties and responsibilities, and you know, issues with avoidance, neglect, and abandonment of duty or responsibility in those regards could be sort of conflicts that are coming up right now as well, with the moon in Sagittarius squaring Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This could be like people getting called out for like what they haven't done, for not being there, for ghosting a situation, for just disappearing, and like the issues that may bring up. So that type of thing could be relevant as we move through the energy specifically of Wednesday Thursday, specifically of Thursday, and just this rule breaking energy. Now, the other thing that we have going on midweek this week that I want to bring some attention to is we have a very creative grand fire trine that is playing out, obviously Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries because of the moon's placement in Sagittarius. On Thursday, Mercury and Chiron will be in an exact trine at 24 degrees of Leo and Aries, and the moon will come through that degree range of Sagittarius as well. So we're going to have a grand fire trine completed by the moon's transit through Sagittarius. This to me is sort of that same thing. The slave girl demands the rights of her mistress, but it's through this information. Truth will set you free energy in maybe like a blaze of fury, perhaps, maybe in kind of like a very quick, unexpected way. There could be some painful truths or conversations happening here that show us the truth about something that we've been needing to see. But the ultimate outcome of this facilitating fire trine is probably like releasing ourselves from something that has blocked our own creative process, or maybe like our own personal creative self-expression somehow as a result maybe of a detachment from the inner child, or some unhealed inner child wounds that maybe have caused us to struggle with expressing ourselves or tapping into our creativity and stuff like that. And I'm telling you guys, Mars is about to exit Taurus, enter the sign of Gemini. We are moving into a period of time with both Mars and Jupiter and Gemini coming up over this next couple of months where it's literally all about like Skillshare. Like it's all about developing our skills, developing our talents, expanding our mind, learning new information, like delving into our interests, okay? And we're being supported as we move towards that energy with this fire trine that is playing out right now. Now, themes of wounding and trauma could definitely be coming through here because we're talking about a trine between Chiron, the wounded healer teacher archetype, and also Mercury, the messenger planet. This is going to also probably bring some information that may be conducive to healing and releasing ourselves from those old wounds or from maybe some karmic cycles, karmic loops associated with them. We are in a major season right now of breaking karmic cycles, and we're being supported in that pursuit by this fire trine as well. So it could have to do, again, we've got Mercury in the sign of Leo. Mercury has to do with children. Leo has to do with children and the inner child and our personal creative self-expression. Chiron has to do with early childhood wounding in the inner child, and of course, you know, the moon in Sagittarius. This is energy that's giving us hope and optimism and positivity and making us feel like we can do it. So I will say, like, there could be something, again, this component of like what we're learning or what we're understanding and the way it's changing things for us. Maybe it's some type of truth that we've been needing to know so that we can make a different choice or a decision that will change the future outcome or trajectory somehow. Maybe it's a vital piece of information that we need to learn so that we can heal an old wound within us that will change the whole nature and game of the way that we're interacting with our life and reality going forward. Learning and understanding something though that changes things moving forward, helps us to heal and helps us let go of past pain, trauma, wounding, and these karmic cycles that may have been associated with that. The beauty really in this trine is I feel like it is facilitating a component of the greater karmic release story that's going on right now. But in this context, with it being Mercury and Chiron and the moon and these fire signs, I feel like it has to do with previous limitations to our creativity and our personal self-expression that have resulted maybe from these unhealed inner child wounds that conditioned us to think and believe in certain ways, right? These faulty belief systems, which are also breaking down right now as a result of the Saturn retrograde and the Mars Uranus that we've talked so much about in this video. But like on the deeper level, I feel like this aspect is helping us to get in touch with ourselves again. Excellent energy, you guys, to channel any type of pain or any type of just like emotions going on, feelings through writing, through poetry, through music, journaling, storytelling, any art, any type of creative expression of the emotions, especially as they relate to like old wounds of the past, could be really, really powerful forces for something, either just in terms of what we're able to create and generate in this energy, the impact maybe that it has on others, the impact that it has on us, maybe even just through like going through the creative process itself. But there is like a therapeutic and healing element in regards to old wounds through channeling and getting in touch with the inner child and nurturing the inner child with the Cancerian energy that we have going on with the sun right now as well. Sun and Neptune are going to come into a trine soon too. We are heading to a period of time where we're going to be able to relax a little bit more, and we're going to be able to process some of the things that have gone on. But like getting reacquainted with the inner child on some level could just be therapeutic and beneficial, and or just like a function of how things are playing out in our reality right now with this energy, this grand trine and fire coming together. On a macrocosm, this energy could play out in terms of like scandals or gossip or news that has to do with like celebrities or elites, kings, rulers, or like the rich and famous, that type of thing, with Mercury in the sign of Leo, or anybody who is like leading with their ego. As I said, this is kind of a very like egotistical energy that we've got going on, not necessarily in a bad way, but we just genuinely believe in ourselves. Like it's a very inflated sense of self. When we've got the Sag moon and the Jupiter opposition and the Mars Uranus, like we can see the future, we know how to get there, we know how to create it. It's sort of just like get out of my way, move out of my way so that I can drive forward and make this vision that I have, this grand vision, come to life. So people are going to be leading, a lot of people are going to be leading with their ego and just feeling a bit larger than life and that type of energy, but it is also prime energy for like the cosmic smackdowns, perhaps, that can be associated with like a super over the top, overinflated, supersized ego. So there is that as well, or at least with a Chiron element, like it could also bring up maybe like damage that is caused through excessive ego expressions as well. So there's likely to be some like, I don't know. We're probably going to have to acknowledge some of our flaws, I feel like, with the Chiron influence being emphasized here as well. But overall, it's just like peak wild times, wild west type of energy that we are in. We're moving towards a time that is going to be characterized by a general state of hyper novelty, I do believe, where we've not experienced something like this before, and we've kind of got to create spontaneous creative solutions on the spot to things, maybe without a past precedent of how it's been done. It really is giving sort of like the same type of energy as back in the 1600s, 1500s, when the explorers were exploring the world and they literally had like no idea what was out there and they had to be like prepared and ready for anything. I feel like that's sort of the terrain that we are preparing to move through as well, in a different way, as we move throughout the course of the next 20 years, and we're really on the precipice of that right now. Things are just not going to be happening the same way anymore that they always have in the past. It's like when things that were predictable, things that were conventional, things that, you know, generally happened according to a certain like series or chain or pattern of events, we're going to see some alterations in that moving forward, and that will become more of a baseline truth that we're dealing with. The frameworks of reality that were supported by like the more traditional and conventional aspects of reality throughout perhaps, you know, many generations are breaking down, and this like innovation and this novelty coupled with kind of like unbounded opportunity are emerging in their place. So we do need to alter our expectations, you guys, which is a good thing to do when we've got this Jupiterian, Sagittarian moon influence with the Mars Uranus energy. We got to change our mental frames on things as a reflection of the changing energetic environment that we are dealing with. This is a great time to adapt. Gemini is all about adaptation, and with Jupiter there, an expanded ability to adapt and go with the flow right now. And I say that because it's a mutable sign, and mutable signs require an ability to be changeable and moldable and able to transition from one thing to another. We are also at a crucial kind of like energetic turning point right now, crossroads between the old world and the new world. So we do want to be able to adapt and go with the flow of the new waves of energy that are coming in, while also being able to release attachments from the past. Learning to self-regulate, to be self-disciplined with a dedication to self-improvement, expanded understanding, and the development of our skills and interests. This should really be our personal primary focal point for all of us right now, if we do want to use this energy wisely, to bring in some Jupiter terminology there. The Mars Uranus energy, as I started out this report saying, we do use this energy wisely to be our own conscious, active force for initiating change in our lives. So the more that we can develop ourselves, the more that we can feed our mind, right? And the more that we can make small changes to our external world, our bodies, ourselves, as a result of what we're learning, this is going to alleviate some of the pressure from Uranus and universe to really shake up our lives, perhaps in a way that might be unpredictable and uncontrollable, and we rather avoid. We can consciously choose to work with the energy by making changes for ourselves that we know that we're supposed to make, whether or not it's comfortable, whether or not we like it, even in small ways, so that you know, we don't have to just get everything sort of like tipped on its head to get us where we're supposed to be. So we should all be trying to learn something new every day, even again, if it's something small, especially with Mars also about to enter the sign of Gemini, coming into a conjunction with Jupiter in Gemini. This is the time to learn new skills, to broaden your understanding across like an array of interests as well. So we want to be very versatile. We want to be multifaceted. This is like the jack of all trades type of energy, where you know, maybe we're not going to become the ultimate experts in all of our areas of interest, but this is where we are going to become proficient in a multitude of things that can serve us some way moving forward. And as we move into this greater Aquarian energy, which is about self-actualization, the more we can develop various areas of our lives, our interests, and our skill sets, the better we will actually like interact with this transition, and the more supported we will be by universe going through this process. And I mean, what not to say that universe doesn't support everybody, universe does support everybody, you know, in various ways, but sometimes the support we need from universe is like a wrecking ball coming through in order to support us to get back on the right path and wake up from something or pull ourselves out of a situation. Or sometimes the universe supports us by bringing into our lives and helping to attract exactly who we need, the opportunities, the places, the situations to support the process of conscious growth that we have put ourselves on. So it's going to happen one way or another, and we all go through, you know, all of the spectrum of the ways that Uranus can function and operate. But as we transition into the Aquarian energy and we do gain these greater understandings and sense of awareness, and we learn how to navigate this new energetic reality we're coming into, we will come to understand that we do have and play a much greater role in actually consciously creating the experiences that we want to moving forward based on the application of the skills and the wisdom that we are moving into and developing now. We're going through these upgrades, and our life will reflect that upgrade. Once we move forward into this energy, if we are doing our part to sort of, you know, stay in alignment with the vibrations that are coming in and that are supported right now. And even if we're not and we're totally unaware, like, everybody's going to get there eventually. So it's not a race, you guys. It's just, you know, some things happen sooner, some things happen later. Eventually it all happens together. But for those of you that like are on this page right now, it's actually like your duty and responsibility even more so to get in alignment with all this and to, you know, do your upgrades and to really be able to be like unbiased in terms of your own self and where you need to improve, you know, your strengths and weaknesses, what you can do better, you know, just all the various aspects of what would be included in a process of self-actualization, because we've got to be the examples and we've got to inspire other people to do these same things as well. And you know, we're all here at a certain point for a certain reason with a certain purpose. And the people that are awakening early, you know, people who understand what I'm talking about and are able to like comprehend and be on the same page of this energy, it's because part of your purpose, and it's undeniable, like it's an undeniable purpose, it is to be an example for others, okay? And it's not to tell people what to do, it's to show and demonstrate through the changes that you're making in yourself how they can do it too. Our job is really to inspire people to make the changes for themselves. We can never, this is not about control. This is not about like dictating to people or talking down to people or telling people what they should do or telling people why they're bad or why they're wrong because they're not doing this, that, or the other. This is about literally like cultivating it within ourselves, being, you know, more self-contained, not paying attention necessarily to other people's opinions and viewpoints and feedback and judgment and criticism anymore, but like through our own process of getting in alignment with our authentic selves and doing all of this, going through our own process of personal, you know, self-actualization and upgrade and all of that, it is going to inspire other people and it will snowball. And maybe it won't inspire everybody. Maybe it won't inspire the people that you wish it would, but it will inspire the people that need to be inspired by it. You will activate the people that can be, they you know, you are ordained essentially to activate. And we do that again through our example and through being an inspiration, not through trying to control or like lecture or tell other people what to do. We have to accept everybody where they're at in their process, you know. It is not easy to wake up after a lifetime of conditioning and like a total like a total inversion of what we've got going on and where we're going right now. You know, like it's not an easy process. So we need to, you know, have compassion for people. We need to understand the issues that they're dealing with, and we need to just do our best to be examples, role models, leaders, and inspirations for others through our own actions and through the way that we are conducting ourselves. And if people want to come to you and ask you for advice and ask you how to do it, you know, absolutely, by all means, let them know. But this is not where we ask other people to follow us. This is where we focus on making the right choices for ourselves, and other people will choose to, you know, get on that train, to get on that vibe if the time is right for them and it's time for them to be activated as well. So all of that, I guess. But if things are falling apart externally, which they're likely to be right now, I mean, we've got major tower energy with Mars and Uranus together. It really means, again, that our focus should be putting things back together internally in a way that is better somehow. Externally, reality is then going to rearrange itself to reflect the enhanced state of our internal environment. So, you know, think, ponder, create, reflect this week, believe in yourself and the possibilities for the future. Really, we are in a time of endless opportunities, a huge expansive potential for really anything right now, but we are also at this crossroads. The energy is not about mourning the endings of things, though. It's about being optimistic and excited for the future and the new beginnings that are emerging, that are underway right now, and that are really going to probably be taking off pretty quickly in this brand new direction. So that's what I have to say today, you guys, about the astrology. Very, very creative influence coming through, very kind of like destined understandings that may be coming to our purview of experience this week. And whatever's opening our eyes, whatever we're learning, whatever we're discovering, whatever we're finding out about, chances are it's going to alter the future course of things somehow, or it may lead to some type of unexpected, random, spontaneous, sudden event that takes place that shakes things up somehow, in order, though, to promote actually like new growth, new possibilities, new opportunities, and things being better somehow moving forward into the future. That's what I'm going to say about the astrology. Let's talk about the tarot for a minute. You know, we got a very interesting tarot message that came out today. Really straightforward. Like this very much, I feel like, is just a general message of what's going on a greater level energetically right now. I talked a lot about this actually in the last couple of videos that I put out, the distortion in the feminine and masculine energy field that I feel like is being kind of rectified right now with the Mars-Uranus conjunction recalibrated in a way that's going to restore balance so that things can actually grow properly. And again, like I keep talking about this theme of changes that need to happen so that things can unfold according to their proper evolutionary blueprint that has been like written in the stars, coming to pass in the future that has not occurred yet at this point in time. We have this same type of message that is coming out in the tarot today. We literally got both the Empress and the Emperor, okay, divine union, like the two ultimate in masculine and feminine, divine masculine energy in the tarot, both in reverse. But the thing interesting about this reading was the other two cards that we had coming out were the Tower and the Temperance. These are all major arcana, so these are clearly like big collective themes right now. These four cards, like this is definitely talking about imbalances that have gone on within the masculine and the feminine energy fields, divine masculine, divine feminine, some type of shakeup, change, crazy. Like we've even got a man and a woman falling out of this tower. They're all upside down, but then have the Temperance card come in. This is about some type of cosmic, divinely aligned, divinely oriented, divinely intervened on rebalancing, reharmonization that is taking place right now to actually rectify things so that they can get back to a point where things can grow properly, progress can be made, and we can lay these new foundations for this new paradigm that is emerging right now in the context of energy that is not inverted, that is not distorted, that is upright, and that is flowing authentically and organically so that it can produce the best outcomes in terms of what is being built, and these new foundations that are being laid, and these new legacies that are in the process of being formed right now. Now, we also had the Page of Pentacles in reverse, followed by the Five of Wands coming out, like in their little situation over to the side as well. This to me is talking about like things not being able to come into fruition, things not being able to get off the ground, things not being able to grow, things like the Page of Pentacles. This is about endless opportunity, endless possibility for the growth of something, of anything. And with it in reverse, it's not happening. And why is it not happening? Because there's like a conflict. There's some type of conflict in its ability to come into fruition. On the back of the deck, we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. We have to let go of something, followed by the Seven of Swords. There is like, again, like faulty mindsets, false information, things that we've been believing that weren't true, that we've been holding on to, that have been distorting the way that our energy is flowing and leading to like an inability to grow or an inability to produce, or always being in some type of like state of conflict or something like that. Really though, you know, I feel like this is what's going on right now. This is what the astrology to me is talking about. We're still like really thick in this energy right now. We've got the Empress, we've got the Emperor in reverse with the Tower and with the Temperance card. I'm telling you, like, whatever is crumbling right now, whatever big time changes are happening, it is to restore the proper functioning of creative power, okay, to manifest in this reality. And we've got divine intervention with the Temperance card coming through, and it's going to rebalance things in a way that enables proper growth moving forward. So that's what I have to say about the tarot, you guys. Let's get one more card now. Synchronicity card, God, Spirit, Universe. What is... And we got a card coming out, you guys, before I could even finish my sentence asking about it. And guess what it says? I just got done talking about this. It says you can only change yourself. And again, like, that should be the goal right now. Mars is the self, Uranus is change, actively changing ourselves. This should be the focus. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Be an example for others. You cannot change others' behavior any other way except to show by good example what sort of things a good life can bring one. Forgive them for their failures, forgive them for their words, love them, and by your example, show them the way. This is the only way except to pray for them to know and to follow your example. So again, you guys, it's our job and it's our role right now to be an example, to be like a role model through the changes that we're making personally for ourselves, but we can't do this for anybody else, and we can't force it upon anybody else. And we just really need to focus on what we can do for ourselves in this energy, and it's going to rub off as we go through the process. So that's what it says, you guys. You can only change yourself. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I am so grateful for your presence here. I really appreciate your feedback. Knowing what's going on with you out there is very valuable to me. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard over here, I take pictures of that and I post it in a Facebook group that I have that is linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We will have a weekend video as we move towards the full moon that's coming up, number 2 in the sign of Capricorn. Lots of energy going on out there. I will be there to talk about it, here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time, guys. Have a really beautiful midweek, and until then, bye.